Oh, yes, all eyes on Indiana, where Donald Trump is trying to knock Ted Cruz out of contention. He's fluctuating between the old bombastic Trump and the new teleprompter-friendly Trump. So what should we make of this? Let's ask the party panel tonight. It's Catherine Maggie Ward from Reason Magazine. She is the managing editor there. Get your subscription now. Michael Malice is here, author of Dear Reader. Download it or buy it in paper and rub it on your body. And look who it is, Tom Shalhoub in a very snappy navy sweater. He is the host of Red Eye on the Fox News Channel. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit. Welcome, everyone. Yay, Searsucker, you win. Let's talk about this a little bit. Presidential Donald. He's actually kind of boring, isn't he?
He is boring, and he's not very good at the teleprompter. No wonder he doesn't like the teleprompter.
That's exactly right.
He's not good at reading it. Here's my advice for Donald Trump. Go old school. Go back to the tablet of paper. I always thought it was dignified watching a politician look down at the paper and then back up again and then look down, and then it reminded you they were reading. I think it's much more dignified. I don't like the teleprompter. This kind of staring off into this, you know, and then switching sides every once in a while. It's weird.
And, you know, it's like, I guess my problem was he mispronounced Tanzania. And he said Tanzania.
Yeah, you know what?
That's how it should be pronounced.
I kind of do stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
That's what's hard, I mean, to me about reading teleprompter, which I do all the time.
No, but it's very easy to mispronounce a word.
Yeah.
But
you start at the beginning of the word and you go down. You're like, Tanzania. Okay, I pronounced it wrong. Just move on.
All right, it seemed like he was reading someone else's words.
Sure, and I know Trump's been trying to get more presidential and get more on point, but that's the other thing. Like, he's gotten all the insults out there, and it's done his job for him. He's clearing 50% at all these recent primaries, so there's really no point for him to beat a dead horse or beat a dead candidate in the case of Cruz and Kasich. And now he has to show that he can manage an organization because the GOP is probably going to try to steal the nomination from him at the convention.
So do you think that's still happening? I don't think that's happening as much.
It's not happening as much, but they will do anything in their power, and why wouldn't they? Because he's basically given them the finger and insulted their moms. So on a personal level, you're just going to want to do what you can to, you know, burn this guy.
Yo, mama. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit, because I think it's very interesting. The Trump worshippers rationalize that, yeah, there are two Trumps working here. All right, there's the Donald Trump, who's got to be president, and it's in him. Paul Manafort goes before Republican leaders like, come on, man, he was just projecting an image. This guy is really about being serious and running everything. But is it all just hogwash?
I mean, the best case scenario for Trump is that people believe that he's crazy like a fox, right? That they think, okay, he's unpredictable, but he's doing it in the service of, you know, making America seem strong in the world and defeating his unworthy allies or something like that. And I do believe that of some world leaders like Vladimir Putin, right? But like, ideally, Putin is not the model for the U.S. president. Ideally, we're sort of taking a different approach. And I think it's just so transparent. He goes to the Mayflower. He carefully vets this crowd, including being very selective about what journalists he lets in the room. And then he gives this speech that's like this cartoon 8th grade foreign policy speech. And, you know, I wasn't buying it. I think his supporters were probably not buying it, and maybe that was part of the point. Maybe he's telegraphing to them, like, I'm doing this for the suits, but you know the real me.
Yeah.
Well, and Donald Trump's also the first presidential candidate who's told a child that he actually is Batman. So being a cartoon is perfectly appropriate, especially when he's trying to be this, like, you know, not real-life superhero who's going to save us.
You've seen Obama with kids. I feel like Obama's probably telling kids he's Batman.
But Trump, literally, a kid asked him, he went on Trump's helicopter, the kid goes to him, are you Batman? And Trump goes, yes, I am Batman. And why would he reveal his identity like that? But that's a separate issue.
I think he probably feels that in a way he is a vigilante.
And
he can buy whatever he needs in order to make himself, to craft himself into the image of superhero.
And lives in a cave.
He does, with Melania. Like, if you're going to live with any cave dweller. Woo! All right, Donald Trump has doubled down on his gender war with Hillary Clinton, saying the only card she can play is the woman's card, which I love.
I think the only thing she's got going is the fact that she's a woman. She has done a terrible job in so many different ways. You look at Libya, you look at some of the things that she's done are just absolutely disastrous. No, I would say the primary thing that she has going is that she's a woman, and she is playing that card like I have never seen anybody play it before.
Yeah, lady parts and a lady card. Meanwhile, Ted Cruz has chosen Carly Fiorina as his running mate. A little early there, Ted. Does Donald have some lady problems? So let's discuss here, because Carly Fiorina, I thought this was kind of an odd choice. I mean, that's really the play you make to fight Hillary Clinton, but he's still in a death match, or at least a battle to keep from dying with Donald Trump. And Indiana's his last stand.
Yeah, so that's why I think it's an okay choice. I mean, everyone was talking about it all day yesterday instead of talking about how dominant Trump was.
Yeah.
I think she does have appeal. I love when she sings on the stump. I don't know about everyone else. I think it's fantastic. But
So weird.
I mean,
Barbershop, that's his thing.
yeah, I mean, come on. But I think that, yeah, it is a desperate. It's weird because it's a little early and it's a little late at the same time. You know, it's late for him to be pulling these tricks out late in the campaign, but it's also way early to be choosing a vice
I don't know.
president.
It was such a gimmick. Like he made his concession speech Tuesday night before any of the polls on the East Coast had closed, and he had this already planned.
Here's the biggest electoral triumph for women, though, in the last couple days.
Yeah.
It's not Hillary playing the woman card. It's Carly refusing the Ted Cruz hug during the announcement press conference. Do you see that maneuver right there? She comes out. He's clearly supposed to like hold up her hand to do the classic thing, but he kind of goes in for the hug, and she's like, nope.
Just like his daughter.
We're not hugging.
Just like
right
when his
now.
daughter repudiated the kiss.
As an anti-hug advocate, I like that I have a candidate.
Coming up, the party panel returns. Yesterday, Donald Trump called for an America First foreign policy. Is Donald onto something? Or is he just on something? Is there anything for liberty in the mix? We will discuss. Plus, is Uncle Sam basically grave robbing Prince's estate? Judge Napolitano joins me on a shocking way. They will tax Prince even in death. Stay here. All right, welcome back. Yesterday, Donald Trump, you've heard of him, he gave a big speech detailing his America First foreign policy, largely condemning foreign entanglements, but also pushed America's free trade policies. Take a look.
To our friends and allies, I say America is going to be strong again. America is going to be reliable again. It's going to be a great and reliable ally again. It's going to be a friend again.
So coherent. So what do we make of Mr. Trump's global outlook? Why not ask my carbon-loaded party panel? It's Catherine Maggie Ward, Michael Malice, and Tom Shalhoub. They are all back. So as we're watching this, you know, he made some good points. Was there anything in there for libertarians?
No, not really. I mean, I
when he
suppose,
talks about
sometimes
getting
he
out of
says-
some of these.
Sometimes he says nice things about trade, which I like.
Yeah.
Although he sometimes also says horrible, wrong things.
But then he
about
goes
trade.
right into trade wars
Right,
with
because
Mexico
we're
and
going to
China.
punish them if they're
Yeah.
mean to us. You know, I like that he suggested that maybe all the wars all the time were not the best thing ever, which is what you
Or that maybe
typically
we
hear.
shouldn't be paying for everyone's militaries.
Fine, all fine.
Yeah.
First of all, these are pathetically low standards that we are asking of our candidate. And secondly, I think this idea, I mean, this phrase, America First, which he's trotting out, like, he knows we used that before, right? And that it's a wildly
I don't think he
unpopular
does know
thing.
that we used
I mean,
it
these are people who are generally vilified. They're
Yeah.
sort of the even fairly strong isolationists will say, you know, maybe World War II was justified. America First does not have a great brand, and Trump's like, I'm getting in there, I'm taking it, I'm making
Well,
it
he's
mine.
rebranding, and the thing is, no, almost no one knows. When you say America First, almost no one associates
exactly
it with
right.
They're just like,
Lindbergh
I
and
like
the-
America and I
Yeah,
like being
so
first.
it's-
Yeah,
I
that
think-
sounds great. That's nice and simple.
Yeah.
Yes.
Me
And I
want
think-
big.
I don't think this was that cartoonish of a speech, though. I thought it is kind of nativist. It's, but
not as bad as some of the other speeches that he's made, especially when he makes extemporaneous comments
Yeah.
that he's had to walk back.
Which is why I think it's a serious foreign policy approach. I think that the weird thing about it for me is that essentially he was saying, we're going to go in and we're going to get ISIS. I'm going to knock them out. I'm going to be really tough. But then there's this, no nation building thing. And isn't that the complaint about Obama, is that we drone people and then we don't follow it up with anything substantive? Isn't that what we're
Well,
complaining
I think his main complaint was we caused this, and now we're cleaning up our mess. So we're essentially paying twice. And I'm wondering, is he talking about blowback when he's saying that the United States caused the rise of ISIS by getting involved in Syria, Iraq,
And in Libya especially.
Yeah.
I mean, what he's doing is he's destigmatizing concepts that have been made a taboo by progressives for decades, and whether those progressives happen to vote Republican or Democrat. Now, look, if my house got broken into, I'm not going to buy burglar alarms arm and mail it to Syria. So the idea that our armed forces are here to keep us safe, so we're going to send them overseas, makes no sense. Yet that's been the party line for both the neocons and the Democrats for
and certainly
decades
Hillary
now.
Clinton.
Right. So for those of us who actually care about the military, if I want to keep people safe, I'm going to keep them here as opposed to sending them into harm's way and then wringing my hands like a case of Munchausen's by proxy.
But do we find it even remotely plausible that Trump would actually enact a modest, defense-oriented foreign
More
policy?
than Hillary.
I don't.
More than Hillary.
I mean,
She's a war hawk. She told Obama to have boots on the ground in
someone
Syria.
personally insults Donald Trump literally anywhere in the world, he's going to be like, we're off.
But that's a different question. That's a question of temperament. But the one thing that he has exercised consistently is having a more restrained involvement in the Middle East. But but then again, he talks about increasing the size of the military, and it's like,
I'd rather they be increased than kept here. Who cares how big they are, as long as they're not killing people overseas and putting themselves in harm's way.
all right, well, that's all we have for this panel. But don't worry, we've got more with them a little later because we're going to talk about Donald Trump. He's not the only one calling Ted Cruz names. Walking tear duct John Boehner had some terrible things to say about Lion Ted that all need to be bleeped out. What a potty mouth. More on that very soon. But first up, Judge Napolitano on deck to explain how Prince dying isn't going to stop the IRS from taxing him and taxing his estate a lot. Please stay here. Thank you.
If I could find a way to see this straight, I'd run away to some fortune that I should have.
Great version song. So lovely. I love singers' voice. Welcome back. This week, in an interview, former Speaker of the House John Boehner calling Senator Ted Cruz Lucifer in the flesh. And he added, I have Democrat friends and Republican friends. I get along with almost everyone, but I have never worked with a more miserable son of a in my life. Ted Cruz has since responded. He's like, no, you didn't. Yeah, watch.
When John Boehner calls me Lucifer, he's not directing that at me. He's directing that at you. What Boehner is angry with me for is standing with the American people.
Just there you are, standing. Thanks, Ted. The panel is back. It's Catherine Maggie Ward, Michael Malice, and Tom Shillue. Does this actually help Ted Cruz, John Boehner's insult?
Well, when you get when someone calls you Lucifer, you don't hold a press conference and act like Lucifer. He's like,
Speak for yourself,
when Donald Trump. I mean, he just was. He couldn't have.
He's not insulting me. He's insulting you, minions.
Gleefully removes hands
who are
together.
essentially appendages of my giant force field. I mean, it's like, what is that?
Look, if he were Lucifer, he'd be a lot better looking and more charismatic. But you look at that square head in those ears, he looks like the singing
Yeah, he looked
teapot
like
from
Jude
Beauty and the
Law
Beast.
in AI.
Yeah,
Here's
he's
the
a
thing,
horror
though.
show.
The rest of those Boehner remarks were all equally insane. Like, he also
Insane?
talked about how John Kasich, he's friends, but like Kasich's one of those friends that you really have to work hard to be friends with, which I totally believe, right? Like, Kasich is totally a high maintenance friend. I mean, Boehner he's like reveling in having no responsibilities.
And the
he's
thing
just
is,
saying
Boehner is a
whatever he wants to
moderate
say.
establishment guy.
I think he lost his mind when the Pope came. I mean,
Yeah,
when the
that was a
Pope
big
came,
one.
he
That was a
went
big one.
nuts and he was never able to recover, and that's why he quit.
Well, Ted made his life miserable while he
Ted's
was.
in the Senate.
That's true.
They have
Yes.
to, they have to work
And
together.
to that extent, this is a job recommendation for sure. Like, if basically John Boehner hates you because you made his life hard, like,
Yeah.
that's the first time I've ever
Okay,
liked
but
Ted.
That's an endorsement for Obama, then, by that logic.
I think it's.
And to the extent that Obama made John Boehner's life hard, I think that was frequently in service of
I
a
think,
good cause.
frankly, I think all those politicians are Lucifer in the flesh. So I think there's plenty of Satanism to go around in Washington.
So what's Boehner's motivation?
I can't even say it on camera, what I'm imagining he's on at this point. But frankly, I don't think he gives a damn. And I think he also dislikes how Paul Ryan is kind of humiliating him. And Paul Ryan recently said he's a better leader than Boehner. And I'm sure it doesn't sit well with him.
Oh, of course, yes. And but he may be just trying to help, because the only time Ted
Call me
gets
Lucifer.
any love,
Call me
Please,
Lucifer.
buddy, come on, I love it.
It's when people
Turns me
attack
on.
him. I mean,
Yeah.
when Ted was rallying against all of his colleagues, we all kind of thought, oh, that guy's kind of cool. And then
You
lately,
thought he was cool?
I think that was the one
I thought
time
he was Rand
attractive.
Paul light.
But
It was
lately,
an
when everyone's
embarrassment.
praising him, we
Rand
can't
Paul
stand
Light
it.
is still better, right? I mean, it's like, I agree. There was a minute there when you were like, oh, are you one of those, like, liberty caucus, guys, that's kind of a thorn in the side of Washington?
I love rabble-rousery, don't get me wrong. I
let's
just
do
thought
this.
it was forced and inauthentic, unlike Bernie Sanders. Now, let's move on to a non-mother named Megan Foy, Megan with 2 N's. She is calling for me-ternity, saying women should be entitled to maternity leave, even if they don't actually have children. Foy says many of her childbearing colleagues have returned from maternity leave with fresh goals and outlooks. Could me-ternity be a clever way of saying extra vacation time, or perhaps sabbatical? This is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, people don't return from maternity leave with fresh goals. People return from maternity leave knowing they can nap under their desk, and it's the only time they'll be able to sleep. Catherine, you have kids.
I do. Yeah, so on one hand, obviously, anybody who coins the term me-ternity deserves to burn forever, along with Ted Cruz.
With Ted Cruz's reputation.
With Ted Cruz's reputation. On the other hand, this is just a repackaging, right, of the concept of a sabbatical. And the New York Times has been writing trend pieces every 3 months since at least the beginning of Generation X, maybe longer. About
Thank you,
how
Douglas Copeland.
Sometimes you just need to, like, take a little bit of time to think about things. And if
Nothing wrong with that. Don't call it. Don't compare it to
Don't
maternity.
compare it to maternity leave. I will say that I'm preemptively against all of the mommy bloggers who are about to lose their minds over this and say, like, maternity leave isn't a vacation, because
It's not a vacation.
It's not a vacation, but it's also not the day-to-day grind of your job. And it is true that when you take a couple of months off, sometimes
No,
you come
actually,
back
when
with
you
new
return to the day-to-day grind of your job, it's,
You're
it's
profoundly
much more
grateful for
refreshing.
the day-to-day grind of your job.
Absolutely.
Yes, you are.
Absolutely.
You've
Yes.
got kids, and they were small children and even babies once.
Yes, but I think that this is a great thing, and I think women should demand the maternity, because if all women get maternity, then guys will follow, and then we'll be entitled to take time off, and we'll be able to say, I have to go in the other room and pump my breasts. Really? I'll be taking a nap?
Go back to France with that nonsense
Yeah,
stuff. Look,
exactly.
I'm for this with one caveat.
Okay.
If she wants it mandated by government, not for businesses to allow them, as you know, on a
Which
case-to-case
there's no
basis.
evidence that she does, but that's okay.
Yeah, she said that in the article, that she wants this mandated. The point
Yeah,
is,
which is ridiculous.
It could be mandated if you agree you have to go to the gym or a therapist every day if you want to work on yourself. And let's see
No.
how many of these horrible women sign up for this.
No,
maternity ban.
I don't buy it. It's saying that women somehow need time off because we're the less fair.
Paid time off.
Me. No, that's like Hillary Clinton being like, and someone says something mean about Nana, it's sexism. It's like horse pucky.
That's an
You don't
amazing
need
impression.
time off because you're a woman. It's like, do you need time off to get chemo if you don't have cancer? There's no correlation.
That's a thought.
Thank you. All right, you guys, thank you very much for being here. Tom, Michael, and Catherine.
Off to get chemo.
Okay. Here we go.
Primo.
Coming up, presidential candidate Gary Johnson. He is here. He's going to tell me why 2016 is going to be very, very different from previous presidential elections. Could he have a big impact on the race this time? He's making his case. That is next. Stay here.